Hey, everybody.
Yeah.
It's Sunday, and here we are talking about a goddamn movie. And guess what? We went to the fucking theater and saw this.
Yeah,
When was the last time we went to the theater to see it? Probably Crimes of the Future.
We went to the closer AMC over here.
Yeah. We hadn't been to this one before. It's by the Ichiban buffet.
Yeah. And it's in a fucked up mall.
Yeah, Lake Square Mall.
Yeah, it's fucked up.
Look it up. In Eustis or Mount Dora? I don't remember. I don't know where it's at.
That shit was redneck as fuck.
It was, yeah.
Yeah. Fucking.
Well, this whole area is redneck.
Yeah, it was super redneck.
It's very rural.
And you go there, and me and Jenny realize how good looking we are.
We're like, man, we're the hottest people in here.
Yeah, we're the hottest people
by
there.
a substantial margin.
Yeah, the only people that were only people that were hotter than us were under 20. Everybody over 20 was missing teeth. No, they weren't that bad. They just a lot of obesity going on over there. So we go see they don't have Dolby Theater.
No IMAX.
No IMAX. None of that
nothing.
shit. It's just basic.
It's a 12 theater AMC.
Yeah, 12, and it's in two sections.
Yeah, which is weird. It's like one's on one side of the mall,
one's
and the other side.
One's on the other side of the mall.
Right, it's weird.
So we went in there and just bought basic tickets. It was like $6 a person.
$7.69. Well, because we went in the afternoon, and it's 30% off if you go in the afternoon.
And actually, the seats were pretty nice. They were kind of like the Dolby seats where you could recline back. They were pretty wide because all the fat people.
I was glad because when I was sitting there thinking, look, they didn't have Dolby or IMAX or nothing, and I'm sitting there going, oh man, are we gonna have to sit in those I'm so spoiled. We have to sit in those fucking uncomfortable theater seats. But I guess all of the theaters have the nice recliner, big poofy seats now that I can actually kind of sit cross-legged in because they're so big.
And we went in there and the fucking theater was packed.
Yeah, it was almost full. And we went at and it was in two different theaters, because there was a showing at noon. We couldn't make that one because we were running late. But we went to the 1:45 one, and it was packed. It was a Saturday.
So they're running two theaters, and they're packed. And it was packed at the early shows. Packed, and it was fucking nice, man. I'll tell you one thing about fucking rednecks. They're fucking quiet in the movie. They listened to that whole fucking movie.
They really did. It's they laughed and stuff like that, at appropriate times.
When the movie was over, they gave it applause.
Yeah,
haven't heard that in a long bit. Clapping. All right, this movie here, I've seen all the other Mission Impossibles. I like Mission Impossible. I have it up there with Daniel Craig, James Bond, the later ones, like the last 3 or 4. I guess the last 3 of them. Some of the early ones, the John Woo one was good, but it was just kind of dated.
Everybody kind of hates that one. Yeah. I mean, not hates it, but that's usually people's least favorite.
It's dated.
The John Woo one.
Yeah,
I didn't like it either.
It didn't age well. It's like a karate flick.
Yeah,
or it was shot like a karate flick. But this movie here, okay, you don't have to see the other Mission Impossible movies to.
I mean, it helps, but you don't have to.
I've seen them.
It's standalone.
I can't remember them. I don't remember the details.
So he's like,
I had to go back and look at it again because there's some of the characters reappear.
Yeah, the White Widow comes back. Yeah. I remembered her as soon as because we saw Fallout in the theater, but I don't think we've seen it again since then.
This one here is the fucking best one. This movie's fucking awesome.
I think I like Fallout slightly more still, but this one was pretty kick-ass.
I like this one, man. I got to see Fallout again. I don't have that one on Blu-ray. I got to go back through my Mission Impossible inventory and see which ones I'm missing, and I'll buy them. But this movie's badass, and man, we're not gonna do spoilers per se, but
because this just came out.
It just came out. What makes this one different is that the enemy that they're fighting is AI.
Yeah, like an AI, like a self-aware AI entity.
It was like an espionage type program that was made by I think it was the U.S. It was the U.S. government, wasn't it? Didn't they originally make it? And it got out.
Yeah.
And it started eating up all the damn information in the internet and became self-aware, and then took means to protect itself and to try to take over the world. It's hiring agents. It's fucking sending people at you. It's not just in cyberspace.
It's doing shit on its own.
Yeah, it's doing shit on its own. It's causing accidents to happen of different kinds. Its agents, it can shield them, like they don't show up on any of the security cameras.
Yeah,
because the AI.
Yeah, that was pretty cool.
Can go in there and blot out their images, and you'll never see them like they're cloaked. You can see them face to face, but you can't see them in any security security cameras. It's just, and a bunch of weird shit happens, and it's trying to. It pretty much knows the possible futures of anything that it does, so it can predict who will do what based on your all your metadata. And there's a bunch of spies trying to get it. Okay,
yeah, because everybody wants this shit. Well, the MacGuffin at the heart of it is this key. It's like a two-part
key. It looks like a key. It looks
like a cross, kind of like a 3D sort of cross. And they're not really sure. They know that this has something to do with the AI and something to do with how they can destroy it or use it or whatever. So it's like everybody is trying to get the two halves of this key and like put them together.
It's bad guy spies that are working for governments, except one of them. One of them is basically this thing's messiah. Yeah. This guy believes, and he's kind of like a spy. He believes that this thing is God. It's his God. You know, and he's fucking weird. He's good.
He's like its emissary.
He's like his emissary.
That's Asai Morales is. I hadn't seen him in a movie in a while, but I always really liked him.
He sees it as a superior being, and he's hell bent to serve it, and to basically make its fucking will fulfilled. And it's not really. They never really did say what it's trying to do. You're not supposed to know. Because this is only part 1. Yeah. It's a 3-hour movie. It's part 1.
Yeah, it's like 2 hours and 45 minutes. It didn't feel like it, though.
No, it went fast. Man, I was lucky. I only had to piss once, but the second time
I know. I was thinking that he was going to have to like pee the whole time. And the thing about it is...
You can't leave the theater, man, because everything is important.
See, that's what I'm saying.
It's just jam-packed.
There's really no... There's no slow part, so it's not like you can... Like, luckily for me, even though I had chugged, like, a huge fucking coffee, like, before the movie, which was probably unwise, but, I was actually able to sit through the whole movie without having to get up to pee. I kind of thought about... I was like, maybe I should get up, but I was like, nah, I can hold it. It's all right. But yeah, I was surprised that you only got up one time. Actually, I don't think hardly anybody got up.
Yeah, I didn't see nobody pass.
I didn't really see anybody get up to go to the bathroom. Because like I said, it's not like... Because you know how in some movies they're like, it doesn't look like anything exciting's going to happen for a little while. I can like duck out to the can. But it's like, you really didn't want to leave at any point.
It starts off with a bang. So it starts off with a submarine mission, some Russian subs, and submarine warfare, and that goes on for a good 20 minutes, and then the beginning.
Yeah, that's like the pre-credit. It's like a
prequel. Scene. Yeah, and it's good.
And you don't really find out what the significance of that is until like kind of later.
Till later, yeah. And there's a reason why all this happens. But yeah, I can't wait to see part 2. And Tom Cruise knocks it out of the park. He's great in the whole thing. The whole cast. Ving Rhames, he's fucking fantastic in it.
I love him anyway. I love him in everything.
Yeah, he's got some really good scenes. The Scottish guy is fucking really good.
Simon Pegg.
Yeah, he's really good in it.
He was in Shaun of the Dead. You remember that, right?
Yeah.
That's kind of
that was his Star Trek.
Yeah, that was his big breakout role, was Shaun of the Dead.
There's 2 female characters in there. One from one of the prior movies. Who's like she works in the IMF, and then there's a kind of a new recruit that they pick up. She's a thief. She's a super thief.
Like a pickpocket.
Yeah, and she can do rules. And she was working for the AI. It was AI.
No, she was hired.
She was hired by
somebody.
Spy. She didn't know who it was though.
She was hired by somebody to find the key. To find the half of the key.
Yeah. And
pick it up and
sell it. Yeah, and she's a cool character. It's just the fucking stunts are good. Tom Cruise fucking delivers. He does some cool motorcycle shit.
All the stunts in this, it's like, and I don't impress easily, okay? But it's just like, they used a little bit of CGI in this, like to clean up some shit, but like remove wires and stuff. But
change the ground.
As far as I know, this was like 95% practical effects, and some of the shit, I'm watching the shit going. I was like speechless. Yeah. I was like, how the fuck did they even do that without fucking dying? Yeah. How does he? I was watching a podcast about this earlier, and the guys were like Tom Cruise must just want to kill himself, or the director wants to kill him, like low key, and he's just trying to the whole time.
He did some motorcycle stunts, and I'm pretty sure that was him. on the motorcycle.
Yeah, I mean that's kind of one of the selling points of these movies. Is just
I know he can ride. I know he rides well.
Yeah, and he does.
Looks like him
because there's a whole long sequence in the middle, and and this has actually a decent story too. So it's not just like a bunch of amazing stunt sequences just with some crappy story in between. It's actually really good, and it really keeps going. But it's there's a really long, really good sequence that's set in Rome, and it's just like a car motorcycle chase, several cars, and this little Fiat, and Tom Cruise on his motorcycle, and this big fucking armored shit that's running into all the police cars and going up and down the steps and shit like that. So it's really, really good, and it looks like almost all of that was done practically.
Yeah.
Which
at
is
least most of what you see on screen was practical.
Yeah.
I think they, like you said, they're probably removing safety harnesses and shit like that.
Yeah, because like I said, people would die. I mean, people could die anyway, even if they do have harnesses and shit on, because it does happen.
There's a really good train wreck scene at the end. There's just a lot of good scenes.
That train scene at the end, because that's kind of the big final sequence, the big set piece that they're building up to, and it's man, that was stressing me out.
Yeah,
that shit was stressing me out.
And there was real good scene where the IMF stashed him a secret spy car, and he goes to try to find. He's using his little. He doesn't know what it looks like. What did he use? A cell phone to try to figure out which one it was.
Yeah, something like that. Because I guess
Bugattis and all this shit.
And he's like, "Ooh, nice."
He's going, "Oh, it's one of these." He goes like that. It was actually a little Ford 500, a little yellow one.
A little Fiat, yeah.
Yeah, and he's handcuffed. Yeah, a Fiat 500, and he's handcuffed to the thief, and they're fighting. She doesn't really want to go, and he gets in there and starts to drive it. It's electric.
Yeah.
And fucking shit tons of electric power. It's really fast, but it's so small it just wants to spin in a circle, and fucking light the tires up. And they have a whole chase scene with that because they can barely control the car.
And they're handcuffed together, and she doesn't want to drive, and it's so they're going that, driving like that.
And it's funny because Tom's got some kind of comedic relief in that scene where he's going, takes me a few seconds. He's fucking the car all up. The car is so fast and the wheels are so small that it just lights the tires up, and the car just spins and does figure eights. And billowing fucking black smoke from the tires lighting up. And he's going it takes me a while to get into it. It's a new car. It's new. I've never driven this one. And he's trying to get the feel for it. Eventually, he gets the feel for it though, and that little thing's fucking fast. They wreck it, of course.
They wreck a lot of cars in this movie.
All kinds of shit happens. But overall, I would say very much like a Daniel Craig James Bond movie, but very much of an American tone to it. It feels like it's happening in the same universe. It's just good. I put it up there. Same kind of thing in exotic locations. More chases, more Tom Cruise acting an ass, more stuff. He does things a little bit different, I think, than what James Bond would do. There are certain situations where his name's Ethan, isn't it? Yeah, Ethan Hunt.
Yeah.
He probably should have killed a female agent, but he let her live. And Daniel Craig James Bond probably would have killed her.
Yeah.
But it kind of served the story because she was kind of later on in the story, she betrays her boss over it and starts helping Ethan because he had spared her life. So I guess maybe that was the right thing to do. But I think in a James Bond movie, he would have killed her.
Yeah, probably.
Yeah.
But the thing about what I was going to say is that I think these are similar to the James Bond films, like the new Daniel Craig ones, but different in a lot of, because those are generally pretty serious and a lot more grounded in reality. There's humor in the James Bond, but not very much. Whereas these ones have a lot more humor in them. Yeah. Not to the fact where it's zany or goofball or anything like that, but it does have a lot more humor in it, especially with the side characters.
Yeah.
And I will say that it's a little bit more, or maybe a lot more outlandish, and it's not really supposed to be realistic. I mean, the machine that they have where they can do these completely realistic faces that they can just put on people and people totally fall for it.
The thing is, they had that in the television series.
Well, I know, and that's why they do it in this one. But it's just like, you know, it brings up so many questions. It's like, well, does it change the skin color of their hands and legs? And it's like
they just say, put that mask on. See,
and I'm gonna say too, there's one part in here where
it changes your voice too.
Right, that's what I mean. And it's
like
that
tape over their throat.
It's like, what if the person that you're impersonating is like a foot taller than you? Yeah. Then what?
Well,
you can't do it. I guess
the thief impersonated the
White Widow.
The White Widow, and you could tell that she had brown eyes instead of blue.
That's what I was just gonna say. It's just that. Well, I think they just did that for the movie thing, where it's just so you would know that wasn't really her. Yeah. But you know, so you'd be like, oh yeah, that's the other character. But you would think that, especially like her henchmen and stuff like that, being like, you know, I mean, I think you would notice if I had different color eyes one day.
Probably, yeah.
You'd be like, hey, you must be Tom Cruise in a Jenny mask.
Yeah.
And then Tom Cruise would have to have they'd have to tape big tits on him. Yeah. If he was being me.
Yeah. He couldn't do it. He couldn't get the walk down.
He couldn't get the walk down.
No.
He couldn't walk like me. Couldn't walk like you. Like a clumsy oaf.
Yeah. Shuffle, especially when you wake up in the morning. She wakes up in the morning. She shuffles out of the bed.
Well, you know, my joints aren't working yet. I'm old.
Yeah. It's like feet don't fucking.
And I'm just like, I don't want to be out of bed right now. I don't want to be out of bed right now. So I'm like walking. I'm doing the zombie shuffle to the bathroom.
But I thought it was a great movie. I recommend it.
It is a lot of fun. Like I said, I liked all the characters. Like Tom Cruise is great in it, but you know, and all the stunts and everybody talks about that. But I actually really do like all the side characters that they had. Like I said, the new recruit that they have, like the pickpocket lady, who's played, her character's name was Grace, right? Yeah. And she's played by Haley Atwell, who is it me, or does she look just like Kate Beckinsale? Is she like another? I don't know.
I don't know any of these women.
You know what I mean? It's just like, I think she just reminds me of Kate Beckinsale, but it's not. Yeah. It's Haley Atwell. So she's in it, and she's great. Like her and Tom Cruise have really good chemistry together. And we always like Rebecca Ferguson, who plays Ilsa. Now she was in the last one, right? She was in Fallout.
Yeah.
She's the same chick that was in Dr. Sleep. She played Rose the Hat.
Yeah, that's okay.
That's the same. That's the same actress.
Yeah,
she's in a lot of stuff, but I knew that you would recognize her from that.
I didn't recognize her without the dark hair. Put dark hair on her, and she just looks just like Laura.
Yeah, our friend Laura.
Yeah, it looks just.
Well, because that's what when we went to saw Dr. Sleep. You know, when she played Rose the Hat, and she had that kind of outfit, and our friend Laura kind of dresses like that too a little bit, because she does like a lot of cosplay and everything. So I was just kind of like, we were like, holy shit, that looks just like Laura. She does look like a lot like her. But yeah, so she's great in this as well. And you know, we always like Ving Rhames and Simon Pegg as the sort of comic relief kind of characters. I love Simon Pegg anyway. Like he's like super funny. I like everything that he's in. But I really like their whole, and you know, it's a long ass movie. I'm gonna say that it is like almost 3 hours, and I will say that you know that it's part one, so you know that's gonna end kind of on a cliffhanger, which it sort of does. But I think they did a good job balancing. You know, this is gonna have a second part to it, so obviously it's gonna go on longer with having like a satisfying ending, because it does end at a good point. You know, where you're not just it doesn't just like end abruptly, like what the fuck, and it's like, wait till next year, then you'll figure out what happened. You know what I mean? So I think they got a good, because it had like a really big, that whole train sequence at the end, which was fucking amazing. Because I think the thing about it though is that one of the coolest stunts in the movie, which is, you know, Tom Cruise like fucking yeeting off that mountain on the motorcycle. It's like they already showed it in the trailer like a bunch of times, so it's almost kind of like, I hadn't seen the trailer, so I was impressed. But a lot of people complain, they're like, well, they showed it in the trailer like so many times that it's like when you see it in the movie, you're just like, oh, there it is again. You know what I mean? So maybe they should have like kept it. But
he really did do that.
He really did do that jump. I mean, my stomach just dropped like when that fucking happened. Oh my god!
I saw what it really looked like. It was a ramp. A sloping ramp that went up on the edge of a cliff, and in the movie they cover that ramp with a CGI mountain. Yeah, so it looks like he's going up the side of a mountain and just ramps off of it. But it was actually just a ramp that they built, and it's long, like an Evel Knievel style ramp.
Right.
And Tom runs up that ramp on that supermoto, and he's got parachute on, or was it? Yeah, I guess it is a parachute, isn't it? It's
It
not one of those,
or a speed wing, or
it was a speed wing, or something like that. It's got an just an exotic parachute,
or maybe just a regular parachute. I can't remember.
And he just ramps off the edge and just lets the motorcycle drop.
Yeah, just
and the camera follows him. Camera's following him, plummeted down to the earth, riding it in. Then he fucking...
Because he's like, I'm trying to get away from the mountain. I'm trying... Because he's talking to, like, Simon Pegg.
Releases the speed wing, does all kinds of loops with it, tries to slow down, tries to catch the train and land on it.
Yeah, he's trying to land on a moving train.
Trying to land on a moving train.
Which is a runaway train. Yeah. Because the bad guy, like, made it, like, not slow down. You know what I mean?
Yeah, he missed the rendezvous point. Because they sped the train up.
Because he sped the train up.
So he missed it.
So he had to, like, jump off the fucking...
He had to jump down on
fucking mountain.
Yeah.
And that whole sequence, like, before he jumps off the mountain, like, where he's talking to Simon Pegg, like, over the, Benji is Simon Pegg's character name, where he's talking to him over the radio, and he's like, well, you can see the train, can't you? He's like, yeah, but it's, like, way the fuck down there, like, in the back. Yeah. And he's just like, are you fucking telling me, basically, that I have to jump off this fucking mountain, like, onto this train, you know? But it's like, so that was like a really funny, and he's just like, fuck me, I really don't want to do this, you know what I mean? But like, he ends up doing it anyway. But yeah, that was, when that happened, I was just kind of like, and that wasn't even, to me, that wasn't even the most horrifying stuff. The most horrifying shit was like the train crash, you know what I mean? Like the bridge blowing up and all that stuff. And then like the cars coming off the shit and like, ugh. Blah. Anything to do with like heights and stuff, I just can't.
Yeah,
it stresses me out so much.
I would say that the biggest difference between this and a James Bond movie, the newer ones, is that Bond is working alone. Basically, he might have a girl with him, you know, but he's basically working alone, and he's kind of in the shadows. So it's kind of a darker. A lot of Bond is a little bit darker.
Yeah.
This is not, the tone isn't quite as dark because they can all communicate with each other and they're in a big team, so they're not alone. So it's a little bit different, the tone of it. But
yeah,
I like it.
I like that. I like how they have the team and everybody works together.
Yeah, and they all know each other like family.
Yeah, I like that aspect of it. And Tom Cruise is actually, I will say that he's really good about not... Even though he always came across to me as like kind of like a cocky asshole, but in these Mission Impossible movies, he really does seem to allow the other actors to shine. You know what I mean? Like he's not just hogging all the attention for himself, even though he's obviously doing all the super dangerous stunts and everything. Even though some of the other actors do them too, but so I like that he's letting the other actors have their time in the sun.
I also like that the movie kind of gave a little bit of background to how they joined the IMF. How they get in. And basically they're criminals.
Yeah.
They're people that had talented backgrounds. They might have been something like a spy or a thief, and they just were talented. And they got caught, and their choices was you could either go to prison or you could be in the IMF.
Yeah.
Or you could spend the rest of your life on the run. That type of shit. So they give them a choice, and so that's how they join. But once they join, it's for life, basically.
Yeah, it's not like you can't get out, like, or you can't retire.
Yeah, and it's like also, you know, if they get caught, they're just going to be denied. There's no government backing.
Yeah, because it's not even... Because they even have, like, a scene toward the beginning where they're kind of talking about... Doing, like, some exposition about the key and, like, what they think it does and, you know, what this AI thing is all about and all that. So they have that kind of scene at the beginning, and it's sort of implied that a lot of government higher-up people don't really know about the IMF. So there's... so it's on, like, a need-to-know basis.
Yeah, the CIA didn't believe it.
Right. So they're even like more secret than that.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like they didn't believe
that they existed.
Right. So they just like super like.
And while they were talking about how that's bullshit, and all of a sudden, boom, some smoke breaks out, and the dude he was talking to turned out to be Tom Cruise. He pulled the fucking mask off. He gave that guy, and he's okay. Come on, let's go. And he started talking to him while everybody was knocked out. He was in there the whole time, and you don't know that that's Tom Cruise. That's Ethan Hunt.
Yeah.
You don't know that's him. Until it happens, you go, something's gonna happen in here, man. Fucking these CIA guys saying that IMF is fucking not a real thing, you know. But he was in there the whole time. It's cool. It's a cool flick.
Yeah, I like the story is like kind of. I mean, a lot of these and the James Bond ones too. They're like slightly convoluted, but it's not really that hard to keep track of. I was kind of, and I don't want to say too much about this because it's kind of a spoiler, but I'm not entirely sure, let's put it this way, how trustworthy some of the people higher ups were, because I was thinking that it's like, oh, well, this guy, that you thought was trustworthy and everything like that, like he was backstabbing or he was like double dealing. Like, is he really, or was there something else going on? Did I miss that whole shit? Do you know who I'm talking about?
Yeah.
Like I said, like, don't spoil it, but so I wasn't sure, and because I was kind of like, well, then the end happened, and I was like, oh wait, is that sinister or is that okay?
One of the things you said about the tone is different than Bond. The tone of this is not that different from No Time to Die. No Time to Die also had some comedy in there.
Yeah.
I liked No Time to Die. Some people didn't like it. I liked it.
Yeah, I liked it too.
And then they had basically the COVID AI fucking directed COVID weapon that they had. Remember that?
Yeah.
They had that. Well, this is kind of like along that instead of an AI directed virus that could kill your enemies no matter where they were. Everybody had it. It's just you could target it for an individual person. This is AI, and I like the fact that that the CIA and all the government people refer to it as the entity because it's alive. Because it
became sentient.
Yeah, they don't know what to call it.
Like though. Skynet.
Skynet is what they're talking about.
It's basically Skynet.
Yeah, I like that. As soon as they started, and they had a Soviet World War III motif of where this entity comes from, and I was going, oh, this is a cool idea, man. This is Skynet.
Yeah.
Basically they're gonna go get Skynet. They're gonna try to stop it.
A couple people are trying to stop it. The rest of the people are just like, no, we want that shit.
Yeah.
We're going to take over the world.
Yeah.
So.
Well, if they can get control, if they have that key, and they know what the key is for, and a lot of them don't know what the key is for, they just know that they need that key.
And it has
something. They don't know what it unlocks.
Right.
They don't know where it is. And if they have that, they'll be able to control the entity's core functions.
I mean, theoretically.
That its core code. If you have access to that, it will obey you. So that's what they want.
Although I wonder now, like in the second part, if they're gonna like find out and they're just like, and the AI is like, "Fuck you, you're not controlling me, bitch."
I don't know.
I kind of feel like that's what'll happen because I mean, the stakes were really high in this one, so I kind of feel like they're gonna have to like up the stakes in the second part of it. You know what I'm saying? Because it's like. This is like a world-ending kind of shit because the AI has become so powerful, even in this first part of the movie, where anybody that could control it, you could destroy the world if you wanted to, like theoretically.
Yeah, and the AI is extremely smart. It can calculate everything that you will do. It kind of can calculate the future or a couple possible futures, and depending on how things are going to go down. So. His like main emissary, or he's basically the messiah of this thing. It listens to everything that the AI wants, and it says, well, and it's doing, he's doing what it's telling him to do. Which you just got to see the movie to understand what I'm talking about. But who to kill and why, what will happen if you kill this person.
And it can impersonate people's voices like over communications and stuff. Right. So it does that a couple times where it's like you think that like Ethan thinks he's getting a message from
these other,
a friend of his and it's not. It's
the enemy AI. Talking.
So you can't trust anything or any messages that you get. Yeah. So everybody has to like emergency like go to analog shit because you know what I mean because they can't because everything that's digital is compromised like everything that's internet related.
And it's aware enough and intelligent enough to hire real life people with electronic money and to give them orders to go kill you.
Right.
It's doing that. So that it's an awesome idea. It's not sending T-1000s or anything. It's sending fucking mercenaries.
Which is much more economically feasible, really.
Yeah.
I mean, why build like super killer robots when you can just get
hire
people
dudes.
When you just hire dudes to do stuff? Then if they get killed, they just hire another one. Money talks.
Well, it prints unlimited money.
That's what I'm saying. So as long as you have money, you can just hire all the dudes you want. And if they get killed, you just hire other ones.
Yeah.
Tammy says, with the writers and actors on strike, it's going to be a long time for part 2. I believe that part 2 has already been shot because I think that they shot both of these back to back. And this was shot back in 2020 or 2021. So I think that, part 8, I guess it would be part 8, Mission Impossible part 8, because this one was 7. I think it's already been shot. I don't know if it's in post-production or whatever, but I don't think it's coming out until next June. I will say that we got there in time to see all the previews, which I always like to see all the previews, and pretty much every movie in the preview looked great.
Yeah, Napoleon looked really good.
Yeah, I want to see Napoleon with Joaquin Phoenix. Yeah, that looks really good. And then we saw movie. Yeah, we saw a preview for Last Voyage of the Demeter, which I'm really, really excited about. That actually starts next week, next month rather. Yeah. August 10th, August 15th, something like that. Mm. And then Oppenheimer, I want to see that. Yeah,
that's really good.
That's coming out soon. And then what was the other one? Well, because Napoleon, that's Ridley Scott, isn't it?
Ridley Scott.
Yeah, that's a Ridley Scott.
Which he's hit or miss. I mean, he makes good movies, but some of those movies are boring.
I don't know. That one looks good though, and like I said, Joaquin Phoenix always kind of like fucking goes for it. Yeah. So I think that will be. I think that will be really good.
And like when they're going to do wonder when they're going to do the sequel to Joker.
Oh, I don't know. Yeah, Oracle said Last Voyage looks incredible. It really does. And I have to say, I'm really happy. And this isn't a spoiler because this is in the trailer. I'm really happy that they made the vampire look like Nosferatu, or like a Strigoi. You know what I mean? Like he doesn't look like I am Dracula. You know what I mean? He looks like a monster, like a bat monster. And I was like, that's awesome. I like that they went old school with it. And like I said, I don't think that anybody's done that angle of the Dracula story.
You don't know
before.
What she's talking about in the Dracula book. Dracula comes to the New World,
to England,
on a boat, and everybody on the boat gets killed. Just the boat shows up. Everybody's dead in it.
Yeah. I was like, everybody knows what the end is going to be because it's like, well, if you've read Dracula, you know what happened to everybody on that boat.
This is the story of what happens on that boat.
Yeah.
It looks good.
They might change it up. I don't know. Yeah. Although the fact that they called the movie The Last Voyage of the Demeter is just kind of because I was like, I read Dracula. I know what happens to all the people on that fucking ship. You know what I mean? But it still looks really, really good. And I'm like really excited to see it. And like I said, Napoleon, I want to see that. Oppenheimer, I want to see that. Actually, that Bob Marley movie looked pretty good too.
Yeah, it looked pretty good.
Gotta say.
Yeah.
And I think there was a couple other ones that.
There's another movie I just saw. I just saw a trailer for it. It looked pretty good. Damn, I saw the trailer on YouTube.
What was that about?
Something I recognized, and I was like, "Well, okay," but I forgot what it was.
Oh
no, the Meg 2.
Oh, that's right.
Meg 2 looked good.
I think that's coming out soon too, because I saw a poster for it when we were
I enjoyed Meg.
Theater.
I enjoyed the Meg.
I liked that too. Yeah. It was just like a big, dumb, fun shark movie.
We saw it in the theater, and I was smiling through the whole thing. I was like, yeah, okay, this shit's corny as fuck, but I love it. This is some corny shit, but this is cool.
Jason Statham's in it.
Jason Statham, and he was just Stathaming the fuck out of that thing.
Jason Statham versus a giant shark.
Yeah, a big shark, and there was just
can't go wrong with that. I mean, really.
Yeah. It was just a fun movie.
Yeah, the previews for Meg too, because I'm terrified of sharks, So I like shark movies, but they scare the fucking shit out of me. And especially if the fucking shark is gonna be as big as the Meg. And obviously the Meg 2, they're like, let's make the shark like 3 times bigger. So it's like some of the shots in there are just like, oh my god, that's like my fucking worst nightmare. Like a fucking shark that size.
So I think there's gonna be a few good movies this summer.
Yeah, it does look like a lot of good ones are coming out.
Yeah. Indiana Jones went down in flames.
Yeah, like I heard,
knew that was going to be
like
bad.
I said, I heard some mixed reviews. Like some people thought it was okay and like it was better than Crystal Skull, but most people were like,
Yeah.
I don't, So they were talking about it at work, and like one of the ladies there saw it and she really liked it, but she was like a big Indiana Jones fan, so. But I was just kind of like, I love Indiana Jones too. I'm just saying, it's like I didn't really like Crystal Skull, so I didn't really see any need to. And he's old now. So.
He's too old. Yeah, I mean.
And I'm not shitting on people that are old. It's like Tom Cruise is old too. Like you know what I mean? Like fucking.
Big difference though. I think,
but there's
I think Tom Cruise isn't 80 though.
That's true. Yeah, he's not quite that old. I think he's only in his 60s.
Yeah, I think Tom Cruise is like 7 years older than me.
Yeah, that's true.
He actually looks pretty good in the movie.
Yeah.
He's I gotta say, you know how I am. I'm kind of critical when it comes to a man's physique. He looks to be in pretty good shape, but I can tell that he has lost some muscle mass. He used to have like a bigger upper body, a little bit slimmer waist. He's looking a little bit more like a mortal man, which I don't think that's good for Tom. Tom's never supposed to look like a mortal man. He needs to go back on cycle. He's got to be on HRT. He's got to be.
I mean, some of the shit that he does in this movie, I don't even know. Shit, man, I think like a lot of younger people in decent shape would have a hard time with a lot of this stuff. So props to that, like I said.
Yeah, he's in good shape.
He's in really good shape, and he does like a lot of the shit. He's climbing around and like I said, there's a whole sequence at the end too, like where him and Gabriel, Esai Morales' character, are like running on the top of a train and like it's like a big knife fight, and they did that shit for real. Yeah, they built that train. Yeah, and they had like because I was thinking, and because I was watching this other podcast about it, and they were talking about this featurette, that like a making of thing, and I was thinking the same exact thing, that there's when they're running across the train, and you know how like the trellises or whatever, not trellises, but the the things that like overhang the whatever, and it's like, and they're having to like duck underneath like while the train is going, and I was like, oh well, that's got to be CGA, and it's not. Those were really there, so they had to like practice a lot. Like to go like underneath those fucking things so they didn't get their head knocked off. You know what I mean? Yeah. I think, like I said, I think some of the other actors did use a stunt double, and I'm not blaming them for that because some of the stunts in this were like fucking insane. But Tom Cruise, as far as I know, did all the shit himself, like pretty much.
Look what Victor said.
What did he say? I read Tom Cruise credits his youthful appearance as being a power bottom.
Being a power bottom makes him young. Like, it is something.
Maybe that's what it is. Maybe
Tom
that's
Cruise
what it
made
is.
you gay, Victor.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Camp Guy said they're not going as fast as they made it look like on the film. Well, yeah, that's what they always do, and I think that happens like any time. Well, I mean, they did that in any kind of big stunt extravaganza.
They did that in Mad Max.
That's what I was going to say. They did that in Fury Road as well. It's like the stunts in that still look fucking incredible. And remember when we saw that movie like 6 times in the theater.
Yeah, well, even Mad Max 1. Mad Max 1, they speed everything up.
Yeah, it's just like, and they can do it better nowadays, because back in the old days, like in the 70s and 80s, like you could tell
it sped up.
That they had sped the film up. It's like, hey, let's just drive 20 miles an hour so it's safer, and then we'll speed it up to look like we're going like 100. But now they can do it like a lot better, so it does. So like in Fury Road, they did do all that shit. They were like jumping from car to car and like going underneath and shit like that. They were going slower than it looked like. I think they were going about 40. I mean, still, that's pretty fast though. Yeah. I mean, if you're jumping from car to car. That's what I mean. Yeah. It's like you're still doing that. I'm not jumping from car to car going 40 miles an hour. Fuck that shit. You'll bust your fucking head open. But yeah, so... And they were wearing harnesses too that they just like, erased and that's kind of the same thing that was happening here. But because which one was it? Was it Fallout or Ghost Protocol? Or it was one of the other Mission Impossible movies where Tom Cruise climbed up that big, like the tallest building in the world or whatever, which is it's in Dubai, right?
Yeah, I don't remember.
Like he climbed up the glass front, like climbed up and down, and he did actually do that. But he was wearing a harness, but like it wasn't a free.
I swear to God, I've seen all these movies and I don't remember them. I just remember liking them.
Yeah,
I remember certain scenes, but I got to go back and see. Remember, I've only seen them once.
Yeah,
it's not like the James Bond ones. Well, I watch them fucking 7-8 times, so I got to go back and watch them multiple times. I remember really like Fallout.
I remember really liking Fallout a lot.
And what was the other one? Ghost Protocol.
Ghost Protocol was I think the one before that. So that was the fifth one.
I don't know.
This one is the 7th one, and Fallout was the last one. That came out in 2018, and then the one before that was Ghost Protocol, I think.
Yeah, and what was
then before that? Rogue Nation?
Rogue Nation, that's right.
Or maybe Rogue Nation was after Ghost Protocol. No, I can't remember.
I think Rogue Nation, Ghost Protocol,
Fallout,
and this one are the best ones from what I remember.
I think that's what most people say. Yeah. Like, I saw the first Mission Impossible movie, which I didn't love it. Because it seemed like it was a lot cheesier.
Yeah, it was corny.
Like more in line with, I guess, more like what the TV show was like. So they were trying to make it more tonally like that. And then the second one, which was the John Woo one, which is pretty universally like the least favorite among fans of the franchise, just because it was kind of goofy. I think they didn't really get good until like the 4th or 5th one. I feel like. In
defense of the John Woo movie. At the time that they made that movie, that was a really hot director. And what he was doing was very kind of like new and hip. And that was kind of like, everybody liked it at the time. Just that didn't age well.
Right. Some things don't. You never know.
His style didn't age well.
Camp Guy said, that was Mission Impossible I saw with my son. Was not really impressed with that one in Dubai. Yeah, I can't even remember which one that was. But I remember that being a pretty amazing stunt, because like I said, you're not getting my ass to climb up a building, that's for sure, even if I do have a harness on.
Tom's not playing, man.
Fuck that. Like I said, I think he's nuts because of that Scientology thing.
Yeah.
and all of that, and I probably wouldn't like him as a person because he seems like a douche. But props, like he'll do all his own stuff. He can really do all that shit. Yeah. Like he does really do all that shit, and he really does seem to like care about making a really good movie that everybody wants to come see. I think this is one of the most expensive movies ever made.
Okay.
$290 million, something like that.
I should do well. I think it'll do well.
Yeah, I think this opening weekend it didn't make quite as much as they were expecting, but I imagine that it will probably make its money back and then some, because it seems like on Rotten Tomatoes it's 96% positive reviews. Like all the critics are loving this shit.
Tom can act. He can shoot. He's good. He can ride motorcycles. He can fly aircraft. What else can he do?
Everything.
He does everything.
He has OT powers.
He can levitate. He can stop he can stop space-time continuum and go back and fix a mistake that he did.
Yeah, just like Superman.
That's
He can turn the world backwards.
Yeah. OT powers.
And make Margot Kidder come back to life.
Yeah. He can fuck with the whole track.
That's what he can do.
Yeah.
So yeah. Oh, and let me say this, which is not really related to the movie, but sort of, is that when we got to, because like I said, the theater where we go, it's at the Lake Square Mall, which is, it's not a dead mall because it's busy, but it is kind of not in the best condition. Let's put it that way.
Yeah.
So that's where the theater is, and it happens to be right next to the Ichiban buffet where we usually go for lunch. Yeah. It's like and there's the Books A Million there that we always go in to get coffee.
They make the fat people, and the mall is where all the fat people go. One's feeding the other.
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah.
And then there's a Dunkin' Donuts right next to the Ichiban too, so you can like hit both of the things. You can go to there and then Dunkin'.
Everybody looked retired, and everybody looked like they weren't from Florida. I think a lot of them weren't. From Florida. They're snowbirds.
That area is that area right around that mall. There's a lot of kind of like fancy gated communities, but then there's a whole bunch of like sort of fancy like retiree mobile home parks too. It's like that. So that's like where a lot of them go. So it's like a lot of older snowbird type people, like old fat white people, and then like hanging out, going to Ichiban. So we can't complain. I mean, we go to Ichiban on the Saturdays too. Yeah. Because man, it's like $14 a person, and you can eat as much as you want. And
eat all the boiled shrimp you want.
And the food's actually good.
Yeah, pretty good, yeah.
The food's actually good. Yeah. But so we went to Ichiban, and then we still had a while, like, before the movie started. And so we went over to Books A Million and kind of hung out and, like, got some coffee and whatever. And it so happened that they were having a cat adoption event. In the Books A Million, and she said that they have one like every other Friday because there's a Petco or PetSmart or one of those like in the mall too, and I don't know if it was in conjunction with them. So the cafe like in the Books A Million was just full of kitties. Yeah, and
we're gonna get Pookie a friend eventually.
We were thinking about it. Like we were talking to the lady. They were actually from a place. What they say, Hoffmeyer Animal Center, and she told us where it was. And they mostly had kittens, but they had like some grown-up cats too. And I was like, oh my God. Because we were just sitting over there at the bar, like drinking the coffee and like looking at the kitties. And I'm like, oh my God, I want to go over there. Like, look at this. Like, I better not. Because if I pick one up, then I'm just be like, I'm going to take all these kitties home with me.
Victor mentioned that fucking Tom Cruise can jump on sofas.
He can, right.
Fucking right. He did not only jump on that sofa, he surfed on that sofa. He like surfed on that shit. Yeah. Fucking Tom.
But yeah, So we saw all the kitties, and it was very exciting. And there was, like, a ton of people in there. And I think one of the kittens got adopted because when we got there, it was a girl, and I guess her boyfriend or her husband or something. And this little black kitten sat on his shoulder and, like, fell asleep on his shoulder. And he was just walking around with his little kitty, like, on his shoulder. It was, like, hilarious. So I think they did adopt that one. So they were trying to get, like, kitties adopted out. So we were talking to this lady, and we were kind of like, well, we can't do anything now because, you know, we don't have the money. But, because they had these two kittens that were a brother and sister, and they were trying to like adopt them together because they were like really closely bonded and they didn't want to be apart, which, you know, you shouldn't do that if they're that close. And I was kind of like, I kind of want both of those kitties, but that was $225, which isn't terrible because they, you know, they spay them and give them their shots and everything like that. But we had been thinking about maybe getting Pookie a little buddy at some point. Not a kitten, maybe. Like, maybe somebody, like, closer. I don't know, closer her own age, because she's 6, but...
No, more like a year, probably.
Maybe, like, a year or two. Because, I mean, even though Pookie is 6, because Tom was telling the ladies, like, she's pretty rambunctious.
Yeah.
And it's like, I mean, she is. She's like a kitten, even though she's like a grown-up cat. So I don't know how. I'm not really sure how she would react. Like if we got another cat, like maybe she'd love it, and maybe she would beat up on it. I'm not really sure. I kind of feel like it would. They
evidently have these things where you take your cat over there, and you can introduce and it to the
see
other
which
cats.
ones. Yeah, that seems like a good idea.
And then whatever cat your cat likes, that's the one you take.
Yeah, that's probably the best thing to do because I'm not really sure. It's because me and Tom were like, well, should we get a cat like with the same personality as Pookie? Would they just like tear the house up? Like, would they all be in cahoots and be like, woo, we're gonna destroy everything? You know what I mean? Would they just like egg each other on to like worse and worse behavior? I'm not really sure.
I don't know.
Or maybe, because I kind of feel like if we got one that was kind of chill, like Pookie would just like get bored or like beat the shit out of her. So I'm not really sure.
Like she does to Beige.
Yeah. Yeah, Beijing is, well, she's older. I mean, she's what, 14?
Yeah, she's
something like that.
Baby shit.
So she doesn't like that baby shit, and she's just like, look, I just want to sleep and look fluffy and pretty and everything. And they get along, but you know,
they don't play together.
They don't play. You know what I mean? Like Pookie will be down there and she's kind of looking at her, and like Beijing will try to come up the stairs, like sneak around, and Pookie will be like, "What are you doing up here?"
Beige hisses at her,
and then Beige will hiss at her. Like,
look,
get the fuck away from me, baby.
We're done with the review.
Yeah.
Okay, let's go ahead and let it ride.
Okay. Yeah. Tom's getting cranky.
Yeah. Well, we gotta do the movie review.
What are you talking about?
We did the movie review.
Oh, I thought you said you got to do the movie. No, I'm like, we just did it.
It's just a movie review. Yeah.
Oh, okay. All right. So yeah. So it's a good movie. Go see it. It's a fun popcorn movie, and I would actually recommend seeing it in the theater because it's probably like way better, like on the big screen. Like
yeah, I recommend it.
Yeah, even though we didn't see it on IMAX or nothing like that, but it was still like pretty fucking impressive. Gotta say. So tomorrow is Monday, and that means it's a Haunting Mondays. So the episode we're gonna do, which we've already watched actually, and I already took notes on, is called "Evil Never Dies." It's season 7. Episode 4, I believe, which is actually like a pretty decent episode. I'd kind of forgotten about it. So that's the one that we're going to be doing tomorrow. And also, if you didn't see my message over on Patreon or in the YouTube community tab, I also said that even though, because I usually run the polls like for the topics and everything, even though what won in the polls was Killer Moms, Susan Smith and Andrea Yates, that's what we were going to do. But because of the whole Long Island serial killer thing, like all that news and everything, so I think on this Wednesday show, we're going to do like a Long Island serial killer update, and then we're going to move the Killer Mom show like to the following week. So this Wednesday, we're going to do a Long Island serial killer like revisit, because there's going to be all kind of information about that dude, and we're going to like talk about that. And I didn't realize how long ago we had done that Long Island serial killer show. We did that back in 2018.
Okay.
So that was like, yeah, it was a long time ago. So there has been like obviously some development since then. So we're going to be talking about that, and then we'll move the other show to the following week. So hopefully that's okay with everybody. So have a good rest of your evening, you guys, and we will see you guys again for the Haunting show tomorrow night. Good night.